So we have Elvis playing in the background. Happy New Year to all our listeners. Please remember to subscribe to us on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Click that subscribe button and give us a rating and review. It helps us out a lot. On this episode, we have Juan from the Lion Marks and we talk about Wrestle Kingdom 12. Here are thoughts about the cards such as Jericho versus Omega and Naito versus Okada. My pronunciation sucks. And some travel tips to Japan. So hope you guys. I think you guys will enjoy this one. We this is the second time we have Juan on the podcast, and it was fun, a lot of fun. I hope he comes back very soon and tell us about his trip to Japan. Actually, he's actually there now. So, yeah. All right, that's it. Happy New Year's once again. Get a chance to see it, Juan?
No, I'm really behind in all those movies, which is weird because I was a big comic book guy for a while, but I don't really. I mean, the DC movies just
are not interesting to you.
Nah, they're just. I don't want to just sit and be sad in a dark room for 2.5
and watch
hours.
Batman be miserable and Superman be miserable.
Yeah, the stuff looks cool and it's amazing to see those characters, but.
And how about the Marvel universe? Are you caught up with that?
I'm not caught up. When I see them, I like them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, when I see them, I like them. I'm behind though. I'm just behind on movies in general though.
Oh, so it's overall movies.
Yeah, like I haven't seen any of the Star Wars.
You mean the recent one or any?
Yeah, the recent ones. I grew up. I loved all that stuff. When I listen to your guys' show, it's like this is all the stuff I like, but
that you grew up with.
Yeah, but I'm guessing we're around the same age, all of us. But
I'm 30. I just had a birthday a month ago. I'm 36. Javier's 35.
Okay, I'm 32. So we're on
the same.
Yeah.
We're the same generation. Yeah, a few years
Same
away.
high school.
Same what?
Same high school.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, we would have been in it. You guys would have been picking on me.
Yeah, we would have been seniors, and you would have been what, a freshman or a sophomore? I think a sophomore.
I would have, at least a freshman.
Yeah.
Freshman Fridays and all that stuff.
Yeah, so if it's the same high school, same generation, not much of a difference. But yeah, I think the only time I really go to the cinema is lately. I find it as like, I don't know if it has to do with age. Maybe you guys could chip in, because when I get, maybe it is age and other factors. Busy life. You're getting older. You're getting busier. But I just don't feel the need. I'm like, I don't want to go to the cinema and sit there with a bunch of strangers, and they're
that's it for me.
they're freaking texting that they're doing, and
yes. I don't want to be in a, if I'm going to pay like what, $15?
It's
like
$15, man. Yeah.
You're going to have all these teenagers.
Yeah.
This is where I'm sounding old, but like, I don't need all that.
No. It doesn't matter.
It's watching Netflix now.
Yeah, it's right now. It's the teenagers with their the texting, and then in another generation it'll be like freaking VR. You're taking a VR headset to the cinema. I mean, you might not even have to go to the cinema. You just stay home and just put on a VR headset and watch the movie. So
yeah, it's gonna be always something new.
Yeah. So Javier, what is it that you wanted to go over? I forgot. We're going over wrestling, which is my favorite subject.
Yeah, I know. It's you're the most excited to talk about.
I always bust Javier's balls with that.
I know.
But I listen. So, and I try to give my input. every now and then. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, this happened. Yeah.
The last time you really watched wrestling, like consistently, was when The Rock was around.
Consistently, yeah, was when he was around. Once he left, and you also left. I think we talked about it last time Juan was here. Javier moved away to Kansas in 07 or 08, and that's when I kind of dropped off because we used to watch it at his house.
Okay.
I used to call him or text him and is Raw on tonight? Because sometimes they wouldn't show. I don't know. Would they always show Raw, Javier?
I think you're talking about the pay-per-views.
Yeah, the pay-per-views too, but there was a couple times that they didn't show a Raw.
The Westminster Dog Show would interrupt Raw.
That's what it is. You got it, Juan. That's it.
And you wouldn't know it until you sat down and you're like, what?
I would go to Javier's house. There was a couple times that happened, and Javier turns on the TV, and Javier's like, "What the fuck are we watching? We're watching dogs walk around in a circle." And
The Rock is a Chihuahua now.
Yeah. and then I asked Javier, is this gonna end soon? He's like, and then he would go on the internet. He's like, no, it's not gonna end soon. So we would just talk shit for like 2 hours, and then I would just go home because they wouldn't show Raw at all.
Yeah.
Or maybe they would. Would they show Raw, Javier, or would they delay it?
No.
They wouldn't show it.
Right.
Okay.
I think that changed later on. They don't do that anymore.
So that hasn't happened in years.
No, and now Raw's 3 hours, not 2 hours, which I don't like that.
You think that's probably why they're have a lot of fillers in those 3 hours?
3 hours is a lot of time to fill, and they just kind of if it was like an interesting 3 hours, like I don't know, let's say you're watching Game of Thrones,
right?
I know there's a lot of build up, but things are building up for something, and it's consistent. Here, it's like something random happens, random match.
The pacing is off. That's what.
Only like the main event stuff
it's
feels
not
like
tight.
It has some kind of story.
You got to keep it tight. 2 hours was a perfect tight schedule for them.
And we'll get into that because Wrestle Kingdom is going to be like 5 hours. I don't know.
Yeah. See, at least New Japan, they don't have a weekly show, so it's their big events and the road shows.
But that's different because with New Japan, they have to try to get a lot of stuff in, in the amount of time they have.
Yeah, but still, their format's pretty similar. Undercard usually is filled with, multi-tags, and then the last few matches are all singles with their titles on the line.
How long does that usually go?
It depends. I don't know.
Like the regular shows, like the leading up to shows.
Yeah.
Should be like 3 hours or less.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But lately they've been every day for the past 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,
because we're in the tour. Sometimes when there's these tournaments, then it's like 5 times a week.
Oh,
which I don't watch all that.
This is the first time I'm watching World Tag League on New Japan World, so it's like, oh, they just have the matches. You don't have to watch the whole card.
Right.
Because last year when I did watch it, it was just Access TV showing you the best of kind of thing.
Okay.
Which kind of killed it because, like, okay, so, like here at least you want to know who's going to make it, what's the points going on. There's a little bit of mystery involved. Here is like we're just showing you the best matches, and then here's the finals. Yeah. Basically.
We could basically call this the show. I'll edit when you said this is the show already out. It's no big deal. I usually just try to keep it open and flowing. I don't like that whole.
I assume you're recording.
Yeah, and the thing is that because I started recording because last time when you were on and other guests have been on, I forget to hit record. I don't want to do that. So I just started recording as soon as the call comes in.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but I'll edit little things like this out. It's no big deal. So yeah, you were saying that the show now have the tournaments or this year you've been watching it often or?
Yeah, that's something I love about New Japan, the tournament format, and it's a big deal. And then this whole point system, at least the G1 and this World Tag League, they're the round robin, and they have points, and usually the winner has some kind of number one competitor match or contender match. And it builds up for the next big pay-per-view. For this one, the World Tag League we're talking about, whoever wins this one's going to face the tag champs in Wrestle Kingdom, which is Killer Elite Squad right now. Right,
and what's really cool about that is it's a there's 2 blocks of 10 teams in each one. I think it's 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so those guys all wrestle against each other over the course of like 3.5 weeks. So you get all the combinations. And it's interesting because teams you don't expect much from really surprise you in this format. Unlike, I don't want to compare everything to WWE, but in WWE, there's your favorites.
Right.
And there's the top guys and there's the guys low and you don't expect will ever do anything. But I think the tournament gives you like chances for, gives everybody a chance to shine and new stars to kind of bubble up.
Just look at the G1. You had Evil. No one expected it.
Right. I was not a big Evil guy until that. And then after that, he looks like kind of one of the future big guys for them.
I'm going to jump in as an outsider because you guys know about this a lot more than I do. But when it comes to the Japanese wrestlers or wrestling leagues, let's talk about New Japan since you brought it up, or Javier brought it up. What do they script a lot of things like the American leagues, like WWE, for example, or do they just go with it? And if somebody happens to win a match, it's unexpected to everyone, even the people in the league, or do they script it?
It's still pro wrestling, so it still follows, I think, the old, all the old rules of
that scripted formula.
There's a story, long stories, but there's surprises that take everybody off guard sometimes, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to say it. There's a story, and like right now, we have a huge story between Okada and Naito,
right?
And that's been building up for a long time. And then,
it's like 4 years in the making, yeah.
Yeah, and in terms of like, I don't know, when they're talking in the ring, that feels very natural to me. So I don't think, and they do press conferences, that all feels like
it feels natural
real to me. Yeah, it feels very natural. So and I like it. I like that sports.
It's a bit different than the American leagues like WWE. I'll use them because they're the biggest one. That they do everything yearly. For example, they'll set something up in the beginning, at the end of the year, and then they milk it all the way to WrestleMania, and that's when it ends.
Well, they kind of do this here, but not as. I'm talking more about like maybe the weekly TV shows where.
Oh, okay.
It's changed now, but with Wrestle Kingdom, there's a story, and they're usually consistent about it, and sometimes it's built off reality, right? Like this thing with Naito, it's not like they planned it or anything.
Right.
Naito's thing was very natural; it just occurred.
Yeah, what's really interesting. So, for those who don't know, coming up in January 4th, is the Wrestle Kingdom show from New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is essentially their WrestleMania. All the stories kind of are coming to this point. And we're mentioning the rivalry between Naito and Okada.
Right.
And that's been in the works for 4 years. And it does play off the reality because Naito is this character he was traditionally a good guy.
Right.
They pushed him to the top because they had a lot of faith in him. And they gave him everything. He won their big matches. He won the big tournaments. And he was headed to Wrestle Kingdom 4 years ago. The crowd did not buy it. They started shitting on it and booing him. They didn't want this guy. Sounds like another guy from the WWE, right?
Yeah.
So they took the main event away from him 4 years ago. They let the fans vote on the main event and they flipped it. They flipped the card.
He used to call himself was it something with the, I forgot how to say in Japanese, basically in top star kind of thing.
Yeah, the Shiaku,
something like that.
Yeah, gosh, I should know that one. He called himself the top star, and the fans would start to like laugh when he said that, or he'd get crickets.
So they weren't buying it at all.
No. Right, they weren't buying it. It didn't feel organic to them. They said, no, this isn't the guy. These other guys are the guy. They let the fans vote. The fans voted for like Nakamura to be in the main event instead. So this legitimately pissed off this guy. Like he did everything he was supposed to do, and he couldn't get that moment that they're all working for. Wrestle Kingdom has been going on since the early 90s. It's
right.
To main event that is what you want to do if you're a Japanese wrestler. So instead of them keeping, shoving him down our necks down our throats until we accept him, they let his character change. He got pissed because the fans turned on him. He created a whole new persona, which is what he has now. He went to Mexico. He drank a lot of tequila. He came back with an attitude.
Attitude. Wow. How? What's the word? how not stereotypical that is, huh?
And this is pro wrestling. It's all,
of course,
it's all real
pretend.
simple stuff.
Yeah, it's all like, hey, you drink tequila, this is gonna happen to you.
Yeah, they let him grow his facial hair out. So,
I think just to add on that, they love to do excursions. Send these talents to excursions so they could change. Like a lot of wrestlers do this. Right, like recently,
they go away
3K
and they go find
Show
themselves.
They were in America for like a year,
mhm.
and they came back and they're different now.
Yeah.
Just an example.
Yeah, so then, Naito's back. He's got the chip on his shoulder. He won the tournament again, the G1, which gives him that right to main event Wrestle Kingdom. And this time, the people love him. Some people hate him, but the crowd accepted him. So now he's getting to main event against Okada, which he tried to do 4 years ago. So this is a story that's been in the making for 4 years. So it feels big and it feels important and it feels like it's rewarding the fans who have been watching.
You mentioned that the fans voted. So when you mentioned the fans voted, they take a lot of input from the fans?
This was the only time they let the fans vote on the main event because the company knew that the fans had turned on him. So that's what made it even look worse because
they don't want to piss off the fans.
Yeah.
What was the other match? It was
Tanahashi against Nakamura for the Intercontinental belt, which is supposed to be the second belt, but it ended up main eventing because those stars were bigger at the time.
I'll be honest. Nakamura holding that title, he made it pretty prestigious. So.
Yeah, and it did a lot for that title. So
yeah.
So that was that's not
supposed to be the main event.
The only time they got fan input was that one time when they saw the fans were turning on him.
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, they want to keep the fans happy.
Yeah, or at least invested, right?
Yeah, because that's where they get their money from.
Yeah, so that's why, that's why it's kind of hard for me to follow WWE nowadays, even though I grew up with it and I still like a lot of it. It just feels like they're not listening to the fans as much or trying to put the thing that the fans want to see, front and center.
Javier, what do you say?
It's definitely how it feels like nowadays.
Oh, okay. So you agree with them? You agree that they're not following or getting a lot of the reaction from the crowds?
I can give you a very simple example. It happened a few years ago.
Well, because we're asking you because you go to a lot of these events and you've been going to what 11 or 12 straight WrestleManias in a row.
My 11th is the next one. Yeah.
Okay. So you would agree with that?
Yeah. But yeah, the example, Zack Ryder. He was just this wrestler. He started using YouTube. He got popular. People loved him, and they gave him like an internet champion belt or whatever.
They have YouTube wrestlers. They have YouTube stars on WWE.
So he was like the first one who really took off with it, at least in WWE, and he got popular. His YouTube stream was popular, and people liked it a lot. And they did nothing with him.
The power of the internet.
Beloved by fans, and then they just shit all over him. He's still there, and he's still just like an opening match or something like that. He's not doing anything big.
He's not main event material.
He actually is, but they don't treat him like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the company could do a lot to make the guy feel like he's for real. Like Jinder Mahal, I have nothing against him, but they never made me feel like he was for real.
Right.
So that title run that kind of hurt, I think.
No, a lot of people were really. I felt like they had to go in damage control over that because it's like this guy was he was really a nobody till recently. I think his most popular thing was the whole 3MB thing.
Right.
And all of a sudden, overnight, he just becomes champion. It's very weird. It's like there's no long-term thinking here. And, in New Japan, they do think a lot. And this is one of those matches we were talking about, Okada and Naito. This is very long-term. Okada's been a very... how long has his run been now? It's over a year at this point, right?
It's 550 days, I think, when he walks in there.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah. So, and to think of, if you think back to the Attitude Era, remember how often the belts would change hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
there's been only 4 different champions in the past like 6 years of New Japan.
Wow, so they really hold on to those belts.
It's just been Okada, Naito, AJ Styles, and Nakamura.
Oh, wow.
So when it changes hands, it feels like that's a big deal. I'm glad I got to see it.
Yeah.
A big event.
It should be. Yeah. It's the main title.
So, but Robert, have you watched any of this New Japan stuff? Have you caught any glimpses?
I tried. I saw when I got the access on the Amazon Fire Stick. I got some access to the channels, and I saw something. It was Javier. When did I told you this? It was like 2 months ago. It was a couple months ago.
Yeah, it's been a few months.
And I saw something that was live. I don't know if it was New Japan. And I really don't know.
Yeah, I think that was the G1 US special.
Okay, so it must have been something like that because it was around, I would say 7 p.m. Florida time, so Eastern time, and it was live. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. So I must have seen like 10-15 minutes, and then I had to go. I had to leave. But I haven't caught up. I on our Twitter, I sort of read a comment here and there because we do follow a lot of the Japanese wrestling leagues or wrestlers. Yeah. So I try to read their people's comments and the fans' reaction just to kind of pick up what's going on, but I don't follow it 100% like you guys do.
Right. So go ahead.
Just a FYI, maybe you'll like this. I don't know. The Young Bucks, they're in New Japan.
Yeah, I know who they are. I know those guys.
They have their own YouTube series. To talk about YouTube series, it's called Being the Elite. It's pretty funny. Kenny Omega's on it too. Actually, most of the Bullet Club's in it.
So what is it, like a comedy show?
They kind of just do whatever, and it's a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I'll check it out then.
It's really fun.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, it's interesting because the foreign guys in New Japan, and there seems to be a lot more recently. I think even this tag tournament it's almost like half foreigners, which helps make it feel like real, like a world tag league, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They have a lot of freedom to say what they want. I think partly that's just because they don't have a lot of direction just because of the language barrier. They're not given written things to say, like, please say this. So they kind of just have fun and they goof off and they curse a lot because they think no one can understand them. Which used to be true, but it's because of people like the linemarks.com where I'm from.
Yeah.
We're trying to make that a little bit different, but it feels a little more organic and you get a little more of that fun, and that's what the Young Bucks are all about. They don't really care about the old style of how they're supposed to act. They're out there to have fun, and that YouTube shows is pretty much what they're about, like that.
Huh. I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah, I'll give you a thing that just happened. The last episode I saw, which I think is actually last week's. Kenny Omega was on it, and he met Joey Ryan.
Is this a YouTube show you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. So
Kenny Omega was like, "Hey, Joey Ryan." He's like, starstruck. I want your autograph. And Joey's okay, sure. Where? And Kenny's like, I don't have anything on me. And he's like, oh, can you sign my cock?
On his YouTube channel, that's what he says.
Yeah, and then Joey Ryan's like, sure. But then Kenny's like, but do it with your cock.
Oh man.
Oh shit.
So at the end of the episode, they have several little things going on. That's what happened. Obviously, it's not. You don't see anything.
Yeah, you don't see anything because YouTube censors would come in and kick them off.
But it's over the top silly. That's the idea.
That's my kind of humor. So I might check it out.
So since Javier, since you brought up Kenny Omega, and I think they're really trying with this Wrestle Kingdom and lately to bring in a lot of foreign fans and maybe old school fans. One of the big stories is at Wrestle Kingdom, it's going to be Kenny Omega, who is basically the top, maybe the top talent who has never set foot in WWE versus Chris Jericho.
Yep.
So is that something that entices you, Robert?
Chris Jericho?
Yeah, seeing him in a different company wrestling.
It would, because I grew up with Chris Jericho, so I would follow him or check it out, and I'm sure a lot of listeners would be enticed to do the same. Getting a big name like that, that's something that it's a smart thing to do.
And I think I saw it in the Lionmarks website, lionmarks.com, or thelionmarks.com.
Thank you.
Where you had actually an article about, I think it was Okada, or was it Tanahashi? I think it was Okada, who's like that, about Jericho bringing in fans outside.
Right, yeah. Okada was talking about that.
Yeah, it was Okada, okay. So, obviously they're realizing what they're doing with this, and they're, okay, here's our chance to bring some outside fans, introduce them to something new. And Wrestle Kingdom would be a great entry.
This question is to either one of you. With Jericho being involved, he is officially involved now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's signed.
Okay. So does that mean he is no longer involved with WWE, or is he like a freelance?
He left like summer. He left basically a little bit after WrestleMania. Yeah, that's what he does a lot, actually. He goes in, and then he leaves.
So he does like short-term contracts. He goes in for a bit, and then he leaves and does whatever he wants and comes back if they want him.
Yeah, I think his last run here at WWE was like a year and a half or something, maybe a little bit more. But that was the longest he's done in a long time. Usually he's there for like a year or less, and then he takes off and focuses on other things like his band
or something.
Yeah,
okay.
Or TV shows or whatever.
So you're looking forward to, this goes to either one of you. You guys are looking forward to Jericho being involved then?
Yeah, 2 Canadians going after the United States Heavyweight Championship.
In Japan.
In Japan.
Makes a lot of sense. Right?
Yeah.
That is insane, though. That's something like I was mentioning. It's something that you don't see often.
Right, and it's Jericho. He's getting older, and
right.
He's on paper. Omega versus Jericho doesn't really excite because Omega's kind of one of the he's at the top of his game physically. He's one of the best in-ring performers in the world. Mm-hmm. Jericho's not going to be able to, keep up. I hope he proves me wrong. Who knows what I don't know what I'm talking about in that sense. But on paper, they're not going to have the same match that Kenny and Okada had last year. But this could, they could have a whole different match where Jericho's an expert storyteller. What can they do in the ring as far as their big personalities clashing? That's a whole different thing.
Yeah, his charisma.
Just to comment on that, actually, Jericho talked about this. I forgot where, in his podcast or some other one. He was saying, "Yeah, I'm not too concerned about the in-ring work." He says, "I'm gonna be there to tell a story." Oh, so he's kind of already acknowledging, yeah, in-ring wise, there's not gonna be no Okada and Naito. He didn't say it like that, but he said, "Yeah, I'm there about the story, and that's what we're doing."
That's what's intriguing him. Then is the story where what he's able to do. That he has that freedom. That's probably what attracted him.
Yeah, and I think he's gotten kind of close to Omega. They're from, I think they're both from. I forget where Omega's from.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, Winnipeg. There you go. I almost said Wichita. I don't know why. Yeah, Winnipeg. So I think he, kind of like they're from the same place. They respect each other, and he's been around a few things, Jericho's shows and stuff. So
he looks up to Jericho. Is what you're trying to say, in a way, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. Like even Don Callis, he's a commentator in New Japan. He's actually a friend of Jericho's and a friend of Omega. Don Callis has said publicly that Omega is the one who really got him the job as a New Japan commentator. So there's that that friendship circle they're going on, and these guys know each other. They're gonna have a great match, I feel. Even it's not as hard hitting as Okada and Naito, but we don't need that right before Okada and Naito, to be honest.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a good little maybe a breather. This is something slower, and then we go for the Naito and Okada, which would be probably everybody's predicted to be insane.
Is all of this going to happen? I'm talking about the Jericho match. Is that going to happen the same day as the other matches, or do you guys have a date for that?
Yeah. No, that's all Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. That's
Thursday. Okay.
Yeah, that's it's tradition for them to have it on that same date, no matter what day of the week it is. I don't think that's the best tradition because who's going to go see a 5-hour wrestling show on a Thursday night when you got to go to work Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
In a couple years, it's going to hit on a Saturday, and that's when they've already said that that's when they want to push for like the big numbers. It happens in Tokyo Dome, which is the biggest place in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I think it sits, I don't know, 60,000. They don't get near there. But this year, the ticket numbers are way up. I think they're selling, I forgot the numbers came out, but they're selling at a much faster pace. I don't know if it was like 80% faster. So they're looking to get at least 30,000 up to 40,000 if they're lucky, which would be a lot of people.
I'd bet that a large portion of those tickets are Canadians.
I don't know. I don't. So Juan is going to Wrestle Kingdom. Like,
shit, you are?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, how many foreigners are you aware of actually go? Like, how much?
Yeah. So I'm on. I'm on like I'll search through Reddit and the New Japan subreddit and stuff,
Right.
and that seems to be something that's coming up every other day. Is someone like, oh, I just booked my tickets. Oh, I'm going for the first time. Does anyone have tips? Where's everybody? Is there going to be a meetup? Do you guys want to hang out?
Uh-huh.
It's a lot of people going for the first time, even alone.
Right.
It's a lot of people who I didn't see last year. So I think, like I went to Wrestle Kingdom 9, I believe. This is number 12. I could find a few foreigners here and there, but it was me surrounded by like 25, 30,000 Japanese people mostly.
Uh-huh.
But they're going all in with this English thing. New Japan has started putting subtitles for their backstage comments on their YouTube channel. So they're acknowledging that they need to, meet that curiosity that people have. Yeah.
Yeah, the international audience.
You know what they really need to do, in my opinion, two big things is their website, New Japan World. Make it a little bit more English friendly. I think once you load it, it's in Japanese. That probably scares a lot of people.
I've been there. It's in
That's
Japanese. True. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a Google auto translate thing
It
that
doesn't
they
work
rely
that
on.
well.
That's not the best.
I'm reading that and I'm like, whoa, that just makes no sense. But it's difficult for that Google translator to get those little words.
There's the past. They have a lot of archives there.
Mm-hmm.
I sometimes can browse around in there. It pays for itself. If you're just watching the new stuff, I really like it. It's less than $10 a month. So I think if anybody out there is just a little curious, just dip your toe this January. Pay the $10 for just January. Right. Try it out. It does take a little bit of work though. I think it's coming along though. It did get better.
Yeah, what I'm noticing a lot is, New Japan is trying to reach more foreign fans, but who I see even helping a lot more is the fans themselves. Like your website trying to help translate, and other people talking about storylines to help people get caught up. Because New Japan doesn't do any of that stuff. Like, to me, it would be common sense to actually have a third commentator. But third commentator is not someone who goes along with too much what the other two are saying, but more for translation purposes. Yeah, like when I was watching the World Tag League, it was Yano and Ishii versus War Machine. Mm-hmm. I was like, there was many times in the match people were laughing. I'm like, I wish I knew what Yano was saying.
Yeah, it's definitely it does take a little bit of work. I wish I'm right there with you. I wish there was someone who could just translate those things on the fly. I do think it's easier than. It's not as hard as people think. They do tell so much story in the ring. When the wrestlers walk out in New Japan, the way they walk to the ring, you could kind of get a sense of what that guy's about. Like when Minoru Suzuki comes to the ring, like you just know right away that is a badass guy who wants to hurt people.
Yeah.
If you don't know Okada Naito, you look at Okada and you go, okay, this guy is money and he thinks he's the best champ and God's gift, and that's all you need to know. And when you watch Naito walk out with his chip on his shoulder, that's all you need to know about him. He has an attitude. He needs to prove himself. And throughout the matches, I think when they're good, they really do tell a lot of the story in the ring. And you don't need so much commentary, but there are times when they do talk where, I think it is missing.
Yeah, I took that as an example. It's almost kind of an extreme because Yano, he's still doing plenty of funny stuff in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm not laughing at all. But sometimes he says something like, "Oh, okay. Oh, well, I wish I knew." But
he could work an international audience. I watched him. I saw him. A few of them came over to do with Battle with Ring of Honor. So a couple months ago, I saw Yano versus Colt Cabana here in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
And they did a comedy match, and Yano was able to. He translated his own stuff, so he worked in English. So.
And he does the break thing.
Yeah.
At least that's in English. But yeah, and I think you did a little mini podcast on him about some of his sayings too.
Right. Yeah. We try to do a little bit of breaking down some of the things he's saying. It's usually pretty typical stuff. Like he just says that he's a smart guy and he's going to outwit you. Those kind of things.
Mm-hmm. So I think just to go down the card some more, maybe Tanahashi and Jay White.
Right.
What do you think? What do you think of that one?
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with those guys, Tanahashi's basically the John Cena of New Japan. I hate comparing everything, but I think it makes it easier sometimes.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even like that comparison because I don't like Cena. I don't like Cena.
You don't like Cena?
No, and they're very different. Actually, I think when you say
Tanahashi's is a world-class wrestler. He's a better wrestler than Cena, but
yeah,
I think positions in the company they've been the same. Like even for the same time,
they're both aces of their companies.
Right, and people started turning on Tanahashi, and they would yell out during some of his interviews, retire. Why don't you retire already?
Oh, really?
So he gets a little bit, and coming from a Japanese audience, that's pretty rough.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, that was he's feeling it too, but he's basically on his way down. He's left the main event, and so at Wrestle Kingdom, he's going to challenge with a guy who is returning from his time in the U.S. He was a trainee, went to the U.S. for a couple of years. Jay White, he's come back and he's just catapulted himself into, championship contention, contending for it. So that's interesting, even though it really doesn't have a lot of build up.
Well, here's the thing about the match, which I'm guessing will come into play. Tanahashi's had that arm of his wrapped up in something because it's always I think they said he has a bicep tear or something's going on there.
Yeah, he tore it in May. He decided not to get surgery. So now it's too late for surgery. So the whole muscle rolled up into his arm.
Oh, damn.
He talked a lot about it on a recent interview.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how he's been wrestling since then, since May.
So what is he? You say it's too late for surgery. So what is he even planning to do with that arm then?
He said he's just gonna slowly work on it and build it, but it can't be repaired.
Wow.
He needs to rebuild the strength, but he was showing off. He was flexing, and there's just no that lump of muscle is gone.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned it was a tear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of tear, my fiance has a tear in her right shoulder. And the doctors told her pretty much you can get surgery, but if the window passes, the other option outside of surgery is just letting it heal on its own. And she has not had any pain in 5 months or 4 months, so it's a good sign. It shows that it's healing. I guess it can repair itself, but it just takes longer. So.
It probably doesn't help that he only took 1 month off and he's been wrestling crazy matches.
That's gonna delay the healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of wondering how much of that's going to play into this match.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Jay White is probably, I don't want to guess half his age, but he's younger, thirsty. And this is crazy, goes from, Ring of Honor, mid-card, because he was, learning an excursion. And now he's catapulted to this spot, a match against Tanahashi. That's pretty crazy.
It is crazy, and it was really unexpected. And Tanahashi's been saying he must have worked out some kind of killer deal because all he did was come back and they gave him this. So I think he has some resentment The way he was talking, like, I'm here and I've been doing this, and he comes back and he gets this. Same thing happened before to Tanahashi with Okada. So he's kind of trying to hold his ground, kind of against the company. Like, I'm still here. You can keep bringing these young guys, whatever, I'm still the guy who kind of has the key.
Yeah, that's hard to argue. He is one in a century, one in 100 years, one of a century.
Yeah,
talent.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of like
he thinks we're so dorky right now.
No, it's just hilarious that they actually came up with that for him.
Yeah, he wears it in his like knee pad. It's one,
okay.
fraction 1/100.
Okay, I have to check that out.
He is really good. And like I said, I've seen Jay White a lot in ROH. He is very good in ring wise. In terms of him talking, I haven't seen that much out of it. But ring wise, I know he's gonna bring it. So this could be to me, it's gonna be a pretty good match. We'll find out that day. Like another one I wanted to talk about, which is also the IWGP Junior Heavyweight match.
Yeah, if for those who don't follow New Japan, I would say don't worry about the stories. Just jump into this stuff. The two main events we talked about. That's interesting to know about. There's a lot of wrestling. Don't worry, but do not miss this Junior Heavyweight 4-way match.
Yeah, talk about the best in the world. You do have it here. You have Will Ospreay. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I'll mention Will Ospreay and Kushida. Ospreay from the UK, and when I first saw him, it was when he was facing Ricochet. I think it was for like a junior tournament, the Super J Cup, or I think something like that. And I was like, wow. And that's the first time I saw him, and I only knew Ricochet, and I was like, oh wow, he won. Ospreay. And I thought Ricochet was the more known and accomplished wrestler. But over time, I'm like, no, Ospreay is better, and I can see why he's on top here. Well, he's not the champion, but he was. But he is that top tier talent. And then next to him, I mentioned Kushida. Talk about top tier talent. He's a long term champion. He doesn't just fly around, which he could do, but he does a lot of submissions. And he makes them very interesting. And I'll let you talk about the other two.
Yeah, so it's going to be a 4-way match. So the other two guys in there, we have Marty Scurll, another British guy from the Bullet Club, who is the least, maybe visually impressive. He doesn't fly around at all, and he kind of talks down those guys for jumping so much. He's like a typical villain. I didn't mean to say that, but that's what he calls himself. And he just wants to hurt you and do submissions.
Break your finger.
He's got the Bullet Club behind him, so that's going to help him a lot. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, another Japanese guy, Hiromu Takahashi, who is he's a little off. He's super eccentric. If you've never seen him, it's a sight to see. This guy moves fast, and he wants to hurt you. And those matches are kind of tough to watch sometimes because those get really dangerous. So, but they're really entertaining. I think those guys are going to really try to steal the show, even though they might be really early in the show. That's just the only other match I would tell people definitely try to watch, because it is a long show. If you could sit through it all, it'll reward you. But if you're coming, new to it, there's a lot going on.
What's the time that this event's going to start on January the 4th, at least Eastern time? Do you guys know?
It's going to be like AM, like 3 a.m. or something.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 a.m.
Oh, so I'm gonna have to wake up early in the morning.
Wow. No, yeah, when I watch these shows, I don't wake up at 2 or 3 a.m. I watch it the next day. So
you watch the replay?
Well, yeah, they're just there on the streaming service. So
yeah, okay,
I'm fine. I just don't go on Twitter or anything to get spoiled.
Oh yeah, you gotta avoid social media, definitely.
Yeah. And then just I guess 2 more matches to mention. I'm sure there's gonna be more matches added on, but because we talked about the Young Bucks earlier,
Right.
they have a match here versus Roppongi 3K, which is Sho and Yo. They were in Ring of Honor. They're actually the current champions, the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. And the Young Bucks, well, we mentioned them. They have their own YouTube series. They're known to be outrageous and fun. And I always love their matches. I saw them live here, I don't know, a month ago now. I think, Juan, did you see them over there too?
Yeah, I saw them. Yeah, they were here for Ring of Honor show.
Yeah. They always deliver in my eyes. So I expect great things out of this match.
Yeah, and it's another tale of like the young tag team versus kind of the tag team that's done it all already. I think they're going for their 7th time to be champions to set a new record. So not a lot of build up for it, but everyone's gonna try to steal the show, and it should be another good one.
Yeah, honestly, of all the matches we were mentioning, the ones that have the match has the longest build up and story really behind it is just Naito and Okada. Everything else here is pretty easy to follow. I mean, the junior heavyweight 4-way that has a little bit of build up there to get every week. You know, someone's challenging the other person, and it came to this. But that's not even hard to understand. So, you really could just jump in and watch this event.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And I guess the last one I kind of wanted to talk about was Kota Ibushi versus Cody.
That's right. Yeah, Ring of Honor title, right?
Right. See, I was confused about that at first. I'm like, because Cody has a defense before this against Dalton Castle for the title. So I'm like, if Cody loses, does Dalton Castle come in here and face Kota Ibushi? But I read about it. Maybe I don't know if they ever talked about it in a press conference or anything like that. But the title is not the thing that's the static thing. Cody is facing Cody's facing Kota, and if he has the belt or not, it doesn't make a difference.
Oh, that's interesting they said that, because I thought I didn't hear that, because I thought a couple years ago part of the deal, the Ring of Honor New Japan partnership, was like we'll always defend the title at the Wrestle Kingdom.
Right, and to me, I
think it kind of predicts what's going to happen, maybe.
Yeah, and when they announced this, I'm like, wait, this doesn't make any sense to me. Because of that, I just mentioned he has a match, and then, yeah.
I think New Japan is definitely going to want Cody to be there instead of Dalton Castle.
I don't think Dalton Castle's ever been in New Japan.
Right. They have an agreement, and Okada, gave Cody a chance at his New Japan title earlier this summer, so just kind of paying back that favor, I would imagine. So it should be Cody. He's a bigger name, and Ibushi needs somebody, at least some name to wrestle to make it worth it. No offense to Dalton Castle, who I don't know too much about.
He's pretty good. It's just the problem with him, he's kind of in that state where he just loses all the time against the champion.
Okay.
But people love him, at least in Ring of Honor. So it's one of those things like, well, when are you gonna make him champion? We're kind of losing faith in him because he just doesn't win the big one.
I see.
So I feel like he really should eventually.
Oh wow!
And I thought this would have been the stage to do it. It would make sense, but with all the other things we just mentioned, it doesn't look like that.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I do think you're right. It'll probably be Cody. And Kota Ibushi, obviously, doesn't matter who he's facing. It's gonna be an awesome match. We see them face blow up dolls and have awesome matches.
Yeah. So it should be interesting.
I really thought it was gonna be him versus Omega at first, probably in the summer or in the fall when they started talking about it.
Right. That's the one that they're kind of holding. They have to do it one day. It would be a crime if they didn't. Just the timing is always weird, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was Kota who said it. Ibushi, he was saying that if they had a match, one of them would die.
One of them would die? Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, I mean, those guys won't leave the ring unless they're for sure getting 5 stars, right? Like,
Yeah.
those are two guys who love that stuff, who think of it as an art, and that's why they're over there doing their thing.
Yeah, because you were saying, how Omega's one of the best talents in the world. Kota Ibushi could hang with him, obviously, and
Yeah.
they were once a tag team. But when I think of Omega, I also think of Kota Ibushi.
Right.
But just because he's not the U.S. title champion doesn't mean he's not as awesome.
Yeah. And even though we talked about a bunch of matches and titles, there's still like 3 or 4 belts that aren't completely decided yet. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to go down in that one big show. So
yeah,
it's going to be hard to know when to take a bathroom break for me while I'm there.
Some of these shows, they have intermissions. I don't know if they actually have one for Wrestle Kingdom.
They did last time, but it was like they announced all the stuff that they're going to do over the next year. Like they announced where they're going to have their big shows. So people really like to watch that so they could hear their hometown being called and and cheer out loud, even though they kind of go to the same places every year for the same shows.
Mm-hmm.
But New Japan is coming back to the U.S. in March for a big show in Los Angeles or Long Beach. So they're gonna keep pushing it.
Yeah, I'm hoping they will do more than just once a year. And kind of interesting, they actually did Long Beach again. I feel like if they went to New York, Chicago, they will do just fine, and with a bigger crowd too.
I think so too. I think those are good wrestling cities. So there's something about Japanese businesses are very comfortable with the West Coast and Los Angeles and stuff.
I guess this
time zone
fight is not as long.
Even though Bruce Willis blew up their building in Die Hard.
In Nakatomi Tower. Nakatomi Tower.
They forgave us.
Yeah. Bruce Willis jokes. They're the best.
So I guess to kind of just wrapping up Wrestle Kingdom, maybe in case you are going there, or maybe you're just going to visit Japan some other time. You have any some quick? I know you're gonna have a video later on released, and you'll probably display that in your website.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do a little little guide or a little travel journal to try to help people, because people have a lot of questions about this stuff and it can be a little confusing. So we're gonna see what we can do, how much we can record, and how much we can put together from that stuff. But yeah, if anybody's going out there for that or for anything else coming up, or if you ever like you've been to WrestleMania a bunch of times, if you ever have that one man, I gotta go do that thing. I want to go, but I'm worried. It's a lot to take in. Japan's a big, crazy, bright place, so you have to prepare yourself. I think mostly mentally. Take it easy because the place moves real fast and it's it goes by real quick. So I think first people get a little disoriented when they get there, especially Tokyo, where this is going to happen. Which is, man, it's so big, dude. Even I lived out there for a couple years and it was even too much for me because I preferred where I lived in Osaka, but which was a little smaller, much smaller. But if I could give some advice, I would just say, speak softly and nicely and slowly, and people will go out of their way to really help you. Especially a lot of young people who work at places like convenience stores and stuff. They want to practice their English. They're willing to help. But I'll speak as an American. Sometimes we come off a little rough and loud and fast. Right. And that could put Japanese off a little bit. Just get them nervous. So just speak softly. You don't have to learn too much Japanese. I think it's, if you want to, that's great. I think it's really hard to remember all that stuff when you're out there. There's just 2 words you got to know. You got to know how to say thank you, arigato gozaimasu. And you got to know how to say excuse me and sorry, which is sumimasen. Just know those 2. Those will get you everything you need, to do there. Getting tickets can be a little tricky. You got to do a thing where you go online. If you look at the event's website, there's a code. You go to a convenience store, you put that pin into like this machine, looks like an ATM. You print your tickets off that, you pay for it at the register. Just ask the guy at the convenience store, hey, can you help me with this? Go when it's not so busy, and they're gonna help you. 9 times out of 10. Don't worry about staying too close to the Tokyo Dome. They have the best train system I've ever seen. You can stay anywhere in Tokyo and you'll get to the dome really quickly and conveniently. So it's not like any other event. Maybe WrestleMania, you want to stay near it so you could get to your hotel.
Yep, definitely.
But this, yeah, that's what I've heard. So this is different. Stay wherever you want to stay. Stay on the west side of Tokyo. I think there's a little more fun stuff there with Shinjuku and Shibuya and Harajuku and those places. The Tokyo Dome is like on the north side of Tokyo. But that's never a problem. There's so many trains. But I just, there's a lot that you could read and learn about. I would just say, if you can talk slowly and nicely and clear English and don't use a lot of slang, which took me a lot, of time to get the hang of, that'll go a real long way. And the people are really nice. They just, they could just look a little nervous to you if you come off a little loud.
So don't super kick the Japanese.
No, try not to. I mean, they'll ban you from the country.
How about if someone asked them where Godzilla lives? Do you think they'll be willing to help them?
You know what? They'll laugh it off. I don't think.
Oh, okay. So they do have a good sense of humor. That's good.
Yeah, they got a good sense of humor. I don't think. I think they like to know that Japanese stuff.
Yeah.
Like people, when I was over there, people would say, "Hey, do you eat sushi?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's the big deal?" And they would be like, "Oh my gosh, you eat sushi?" And I'm like, "Well, do you eat a hamburger?" Like,
yeah,
exactly. It's no big deal. But they're proud of their stuff, and I don't know if they got all of our jokes about Godzilla all the time.
Or they just tell you he's in the ocean. Go drown yourself.
Go drown yourself. Go find out. Go for a swim.
Oh yeah, they'll point you to Tokyo Bay. Go for a swim. But no, they like Americans for the most part. Which I've never been to Europe, but I heard some places Americans aren't the most popular guy. They like all foreigners. So if you're coming from the UK and Australia, a lot of people there speak English just slowly.
They're open to diversity, unlike a certain someone in a certain house.
Yeah,
it's against it in this country.
Man, the last time I left Japan, I was saying I have to go home so I could vote.
Right.
And people were telling me like, "Oh my gosh, is he really gonna become president?" I'm like, no way, guys, don't worry about it. So now I got to go back and see a lot of friends, and they're gonna be like, "What the hell did you guys do over there?"
Just tell them it wasn't you. Tell them it was not you. You had nothing to do with it.
We're a blue. I'm in a blue state.
You're in a blue state, yeah. You had nothing to do with it. Javier's in a red state, so Javier, I think it was you.
Yeah, it was him.
It was Javier.
Yeah. I've been living in red states. The last 2 states I lived in are red.
Are red states?
the rest of Illinois would be red if it wasn't for Chicago, which is all blue. So
right.
That's the thing with Texas. Dallas actually was blue, and I think San Antonio and Austin. But then it's just the rest of it.
The rest of it, yeah, you can't compete with that big state. The rest of it just,
right.
It's really scattered.
Yeah. So that's good. What we'll do is we'll direct our listeners over to your Twitter and website so they can reach out if they have questions. If they do plan on going to Tokyo.
Right. I would ask anybody who's going to do that. If you go to thelinemarks.com, if you click on our banner where it says Road to Tokyo Dome or Flight to Tokyo Dome, we're calling ours. There's a contact form. We want people to ask questions, so we can try to cover some of this stuff. Or even, just send us questions, send us emails. We'll be happy to try to answer as much as we can.
As far as also maybe putting things that they should take over there, like in their luggage and things like that. Like, don't take this or take this. Like necessary things.
Right. You know what? That sounds. We're planning. We haven't put out a podcast in a little while. We've been kind of busy, but we're definitely going to do a more in-depth kind of planning podcast. We'll put out to try to go over some of these things for anybody who's going out there. All the essentials and what you need to do. But
yeah, I remember.
It just looks confusing, but it's not that bad.
Yeah, I remember. You had mentioned to us in an email you hadn't put out a podcast because you were sick. I think we all got sick around the same time. I was sick. How was it, like a month ago or maybe 2 months ago? I don't remember now. I think we were all stuck with like a nasty bug or something.
Yeah, it makes it hard. But you guys have been powering through it every week.
We try. Almost. We try. Even though I was. It was a week where I was sick, and I was like, Javier, I don't feel like doing it. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I think you can kind of tell because I was like trying to sneeze away from the microphone.
Right.
I was like sneezing, and I'm like, Javier, did you hear the sneeze? He's like, no, I didn't hear it. I'm like, oh, okay, good. But yeah, it's just difficult. Not only is it the holiday season that makes recording difficult, but I'm also getting married, so I'm getting married January 6th, 2 days after Wrestle Kingdom.
Okay, so you have an excuse not to watch.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. 2 days after,
I
I could try to watch it. I'm gonna be off that week, so I'll if I have time, I'll see if Javier can remind me because I'm sure I'm gonna forget, and I'll make time to watch it. But
I'll sub in for you. Me and Javier.
Yeah.
Kingdom Roundup show.
Yeah, you guys can do that. That's fine. I was gonna ask you, Juan. When you're not talking wrestling, do you do anything else? Like, we talked about movies a bit, but do you play video games? Do you do?
I'm looking at. I have a stack of video game consoles that I don't play enough.
Okay.
I think I mostly like to collect the consoles. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the PlayStations and my old school stuff. Most of my, I haven't played anything new. I really don't play. I was a big Rock Band guy mostly. I'm hoping to pick up a Switch in Japan. It might be a little cheaper. So maybe I'll get back into stuff.
Okay, so currently you're not playing anything. Is what you're saying?
I just picked up a few games for my DS for the trip.
Which games?
Old stuff like Ocarina of Time, the Zelda remake.
Oh, Javier has that.
I haven't played it since the original.
Yeah, me too.
Mario 3D Land, and New Super Mario Brothers.
Oh, I played that one.
All solid choices.
Yeah, they're all great choices.
Okay, good, because I can't sleep on the flight, and I'm just gonna go crazy. So, might as well keep myself entertained for 14 hours or whatever it is.
So the Switch is not as expensive in Japan. Is that what you said?
Just because the conversion of money.
Oh, okay. I see.
The dollar's a little more powerful, I believe. And if you're on a tourist visa, here's a tip: you don't have to pay taxes at a lot of places.
Oh.
So I could justify it a little more if I pick it up out there. And it's a region-free system.
Right.
So should be good.
Well, Javier's going to recommend the game. It's called Xenoblade Chronicles 2. You just picked it up the other day.
I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually very anime-ish. There'll be little things in there. A lot of fan service, like, girls with huge boobs. There was this little joke in there about this guy made a robot and they're going to make her wear a maid outfit.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, is that stuff actually real? I see it in another anime where there was a cafe, and the theme was like cat girls in maid uniforms. Does that kind of stuff actually exist there, or is that just anime?
Yeah, I'm curious as well. Is that popular in Japan?
I may or may have not have visited a maid cafe before I met my wife.
Okay.
No, it's out there.
Hint.
It's in the geeky parts of town.
Right.
It's just fun. It's like Hooters.
Got it. Okay.
It's the same stuff. I did
thing.
it once because it was a laugh. It was went to a maid cafe, had a sundae. They sang with you and took pictures with you, and
Okay.
it was a weird trip. And you do it once, and it's kind of cool. There's guys who go a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge them.
Like guys that go a lot to Hooters or Twin Peaks. I
Right.
gotcha.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, but that game is just to mention that it's a very long game. You're talking about this trip. It's supposed to be like a 100-hour game. So
And that's on which system?
The Switch.
The Switch.
Only the Switch.
Okay.
So maybe you'll pick it up over there.
Yeah.
So, what are the
I've
Switch
been having
games?
fun with
What
it.
are the Switch games do you recommend for Juan?
Yeah.
Oh, Zelda, of
Well,
course. You gotta get.
yeah,
Zelda.
Which one
Breath of the
should I
Wild.
play? End up playing Zelda or Mario if I picked it up?
I say Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is. I'm right now currently at 95 hours in,
Holy crap!
but I'm on my second playthrough. But still, it's like a 40-hour game.
Here's the thing.
more.
With Mario Odyssey on the Nintendo Switch, it's a game that
Mhm.
you can quickly turn on, play a few minutes, turn it off, and
I
you
see.
feel like you accomplished, quite a lot. With Zelda, it's more of you. At least for me, I have to sit down with many hours or maybe half a day and invest all that time because
And
it
that's also
is.
saying a long plane ride.
It
that would
is,
really
yeah,
pay off.
like a long plane ride.
Right.
Well, how many hours is it from Chicago to Japan?
I got 12 hours to Tokyo, then another couple hours to reach Osaka, which is where I'll stay most of the time.
So you go directly, or you stop somewhere?
I'll go direct to Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
That's 12 hours, and then
12
I got to
hours.
take another couple hours to where my wife's family stays, where we'll be staying.
Okay, so it's a 12. Wow, so you have 12 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. That yeah. Then Javier's right. You do have you can't play Zelda on a 12-hour flight. That's crazy.
Yeah,
12 hours on the plane.
That's what I'll try. Yeah, it's a tough flight. Every time I take it, I think I don't want to do this anymore.
What do you do
just gonna
though?
stay.
Like, do you just jog up and down the aisles to stretch your legs or something?
I get up a lot, and I'm always standing by the bathroom and stuff. And it's a trip because all the Japanese people, I don't know if they reach some kind of
Uh-huh.
Zen-like meditation state, but none of them get up like the whole time.
They don't get up?
Not often.
Wow. Yeah.
Some of them just sit there the whole
they
time.
must have amazing
like don't even move.
They must have a lot of bladder control. I would be getting up every 2 hours to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. So
Oh. Javier, we all gotta go to. Javier and I gotta go to Japan. We've been dying to go. We just haven't gone.
yeah, I hear that from a lot of people who are into all that stuff. You just gotta.
Just
Do it.
do it.
It's not crazy. You just gotta do it. You just
Yeah.
gotta put the money aside, and it's not crazy. You go, don't stress out about it. Just go, and it's gonna be a crazy time.
Is it
but
expensive? Would you say, or would you say you just gotta save up and go?
like, you can find a good flight sometimes and stuff like that. So if we're not counting the flights,
Right.
there's hotels around the Tokyo Dome that are like $30 a night, $35 a night.
U.S. dollars a night?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
I mean, they're small. They're
Right.
real small.
All I need is to sleep. That's it. I don't need
Right,
to do
right.
anything.
But a 3-star in Japan is like a 4-star in America. Like things
got it.
are clean. People are nice. So we're gonna say at a $30 a night place, no problem. Food you could eat on the cheap, and still eat a lot of really great stuff. You could have dinner for $6-7, really good stuff.
Wow.
So you're going to spend money on when you get to the toy stores and the game stores.
That's where most of the money's gonna go.
Right. Because there's no more deals out there.
And the
There's
maid
enough
cafes.
collectors. Yeah, and then the maid cafes. But there's no tipping in Japan, so they won't suck you dry.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Well,
I keep on forgetting that's an American.
Yeah, America's really. I actually, once you mentioned tip, I read an article about it. We're one of the less than like 5 countries that really focus on tipping. The rest of the world doesn't. They don't require tipping because it's already included in their.
Right.
It's logical. Like, okay, they're working there. Why aren't you paying
Yeah,
them?
exactly. And they get paid a lot per hour. The rest of the world, at least, for service jobs like waiters and things like that.
Yeah.
Cooks.
And the service in Japan is really good, man. Japanese people they have a lot of pride in any job they do. Even the people working at electronics store, you're not going to catch them snoozing or on their phone or nothing like that. Like people care about their job and
like
stuff.
Javier, I used to catch Javier at Blockbuster Video snoozing. He's like, in the
Oh
back,
man, he was that guy.
Yeah, he was that guy. So I'm like, Javier, can you help? Can you find this movie for this lady? And he would just be like, with this like a magazine, like a EGM, and he's like, no, I'm reading the magazine. He just like would ignore the lady. Like I used to get on his ass all the time.
Remember, I used to play death metal towards the end of.
Oh yeah, at the at the end of the night. So we were closed at midnight. Javier's like, let me take my. Can I bring the CDs in? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. So he would go to his car. He'll bring his CDs, and he would put like death metal, like, and people would walk.
Last 30 minutes, so they could rush.
Yeah, and then somebody actually asked me once, like, what's that? What's that music? Oh no, that's the closing music. When we close the store, the music comes on. The lady looked at me like, "Oh, crazy." I'm like, "Yeah, we're closing, so we gotta stay away."
Yeah, even me talking about this, my wife's overhearing. My wife, who's Japanese, she whispered to me, "The customers are God." That's how they talk in Japan.
Okay, that's how they're okay. Well,
and sometimes it's a little too far. And I tell people, and she's telling me how to say it right now, Okyaku sama wa kami-sama, the customers are God. Like, sometimes I'm like, yo, you don't have to be so formal. We're at like a family restaurant, like a IHOP, and they're bowing to you, because it's the way they are, and it's like, it's okay. It's 1 a.m. and I'm getting a cheeseburger.
And they're still doing that. Okay.
But and they'll run up to you. If you ask them for a napkin, they'll run and get that napkin. They'll run back to you.
I was listening to a podcast, and the guy was like, "Oh, he went to Japan. I think around Thanksgiving or something like that, and he was there with his wife and some friends. They're all American, and he was trying to say he was trying to order a large bottle of sake. So he kept telling the servers, I want a large bottle of sake, in his very bad Japanese. And the servers kept looking at him all crazy. He's like, they were looking at me like I'm some psycho, like, what's going on? So they would go back to the manager, talk to the manager, then they would come back, and they brought back a large, like, cocktail drink. And then he found out from his friend who lives in Japan, he's like, dude, sake is alcohol. You're saying that you want a large bottle of alcohol, so they're looking at you crazy. Like, what the heck are you talking about? So he didn't know that sake in Japan, when you say it to a Japanese person, it's just like saying alcohol.
Right. It's just liquor.
Yeah. So that's what he was confused. Yeah, he was like, what the heck?
He didn't name exactly what he wanted.
Yeah, he didn't actually call it the actual drink. So he ended up ordering like a large bottle of wine or something.
That's going to happen. You run into, like, if I knew a little bit of Japanese to get by, but sometimes I knew enough just to get myself into trouble. And there'd be times when we're both looking at each other confused and running back and forth and getting a manager, and it suddenly becomes more work than it needed to be.
Right.
But it's always never a big deal, and it's always all good. But it's really a fantastic place. Even if you don't like wrestling, there's tons of like just beautiful stuff too. It's just a beautiful country, like.
Yeah, I want to go. I'm more of a history buff, so I would like to go for just the historical value.
Yeah, it's easy to do, and it's easy to go around and see, and people are very accommodating. So,
All right. So
make it happen.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen. Right, Javier?
Yeah, I need to do this. No, yeah, like next year I'm going to Greece, so.
No.
I'll be my first international.
After Greece, Javier, we gotta go to Japan.
Yeah, you know what? I think we actually talked about this last time too.
We did?
I'll keep coming onto this show every time to push it.
Yeah. Keep coming on until we both of us go to Japan. That's it. It's gonna happen.
It's okay. Yeah.
Maybe you'll be going for Wrestle Kingdom, Robert.
Maybe. I don't care. I'll go.
Now he's not gonna want to go.
No, I'll go.
We took it too far.
I'll go. Even for Wrestle Kingdom. I mean, live events, I don't mind watching. It's just with the we already discussed it, the whole WWE thing. I'm like, I'm not gonna sit 3 hours there. Just no way. No way.
for sure.
But let's wrap it up. So, Juan, where can we our listeners reach you? What social media?
TheLionMarks.com. We're a fan site for anybody who's curious about New Japan Pro Wrestling. I wrote up a guide for new people or people who follow it and just want some more translations. We do some like article translations, try to build out that story to make the events more fun. We have a podcast, an Apple podcast, the Lion Marks podcast, at the Lion Marks on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. There's a Patreon page if anyone's inclined to leave a tip. That would be greatly appreciated. But yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. And Javier, any last words?
And you can also follow us at Bits for You, number 4 for you podcasts. Actually, we also have a Discord, which I've tweeted about a few times. I'll tweet it again.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But Juan, it was great having you on. It was fun.
And thank you guys so much. This was just a blast.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.